Hey Miles, hey Cody, I want to talk to you about something today that's really, really important, and it's a thought that I had. Here's the thought. We clear our schedules for a funeral, but not for a cup of coffee. Sorry, I don't have time for lunch with you next Tuesday, but if you were to die on Sunday, I would be able to attend your funeral on Tuesday. So as long as you're still alive on Tuesday, I'm going to have to say no to the lunch or to the cup of coffee. Of course, we would never actually say that to somebody, but sometimes I feel like that's the way we live our life. One day when I was reading the obituaries, which I often do as I'm older now, I want to see if I know anybody in the paper and if I want to contact somebody, whatever, it struck me that often we don't even find out about a funeral or service or wake until we read it in the paper, get an email, get a phone call, somebody lets us know in passing, and we don't have much time, obviously. Sometimes we have very little time, and yet it seems that most of the time, from the response at these wakes and funerals and services, that people do clear their schedule to show up, which I think is wonderful and very, very important for the family. But it struck me that we often don't make the time while people are alive to see them, even for a cup of coffee or for a phone call or a visit. In my work of grief and loss, I come in contact with many, many grieving people. And many tell me that they wish they had made more time, they wish they had spent more time. Even if they did spend a lot of time, people often wish that they had done a little bit more. So one of the things they'll say to me often is, from this point on, now that this has happened in my life, I am going to make the time. I'm going to make people that I care about my priority. There's a wonderful man named Douglas Smith, and he writes on hospice and death and dying and grief, and I've had the privilege to hear him speak a few times. He shares many, many personal stories, and one story that he shares and he's written about is that he and his brother were adults and kept putting off getting together because they were busy. They wanted to make a date, and one day they actually picked a date in August, circled it on their calendars, and said, we're meeting in Arizona and we're going to bike together for a week. They were looking forward to it. In July that year, unfortunately, his brother was killed in a tragic house fire, so they never got to get together. Douglas cut the calendar out that he had written in August, meet brother to bike, and he wrote with a big marker, don't put off, and he laminated that page and put it in a frame by his door so that every time he walked out his front door, he saw the sign that said, don't put off. And he's lived that way ever since. And I encourage all of you to make a list of people that you keep saying you don't have time for, and decide today to make that time. Have a cup of coffee, make a phone call, make a visit, because you won't regret it. You'll be really glad that you did.